Hi and welcome to today's reading. Today I am picking up on an energy. I've been receiving messages for the past 24 hours and I've decided to come and pull some cards on it. Now it is an energy that I've picked up on before and I will link the previous reading that I did on this particular energy in the description box. But it's a real energy of going within. This reading will be housed in the playlist of readings which I've titled The Wheel Within a Wheel. It is pulling in the themes of all of the readings in that playlist, and it's just another aspect of it. So before I get into the messages that I was receiving, a bit about me first. I'm an intuitive tarot reader. I pick up on energy prior to a reading. I will then come and use my tarot and oracle decks to further clarify the message. All of the decks that I use on my channel are my own designs because I am also an illustrator. If you're called to any of those, the links to those can be found in the description box. All of my readings are timeless. Whenever you stumble across the reading, you were meant to find it. Part of a specific message that your guides are trying to relay to you within the spiritual journey, the individual spiritual journey that you are on with yourself, or potentially a spiritual journey that you are on with somebody else. I might be picking up on an energy, an archetypal energy of somebody around you, or as I said, it could be yourself. Please take the messages that resonate with you. Leave anything that doesn't resonate with you. If the reading does resonate with you, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And any songs that I mention or movies or TV series that I mention will also be listed in the description box. Intuitively, if you are drawn to click on those links, please do so. There might be more messages in the lyrics of a song, in the background story of the song, the background story of the artist, or anything else that intuitively you're guided to just look into a little bit deeper. So yesterday, I kept hearing the word formalot. Now I've come to find that it's actually Fomolo, pronounced Fomolo. Fomolo is one of the 4 royal stars of Persia, and it kept repeating over and over and over, randomly, not in context to anything else that I was thinking about. An energy within that particular star. Now that star, as I said, belongs to the 4 royal stars of Persia. They are, and if you watch my previous reading, in regards to watchmen, they are the watcher of the north, the watcher of the east, the watcher of the south, and the watcher of the west. These 4 royal stars. Formalo is in the constellation Pisces Australis. It's known as the loneliest star. It heralds the winter solstice. It's 25 light years from Earth. So we're picking up that 7 reference. And it's aligned with Archangel Gabriel. Now, Gabriel is the messenger. And if you've been to one of my readings before, you will know that I received messages prior. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you the bulk of the messages that I was receiving. And then, as I said before, I'll come and use my tarot and oracle decks to further clarify the messages. So I do have lots. So Fomolo is a reddish star in the mouth of the southern fish, or in the mouth of the southern whale. They were stars that were very prominent in 3000 BC, so in the Persian Empire. Fomolo is the watcher of the south. It has the nature of Venus and Mercury, and within the royal stars of Persia, as I said, there's 4 of them. They are known as the 4 guardians of heaven. The archangel stars have been described as horses, similar to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which is Revelation 6, and or the chariot horses in the book of Zechariah. And even though Regulus, which is the north, the watcher of the north, was considered the supreme, Formalo, which aligns with Archangel Gabriel, especially in the birth of Jesus, and the fact that it's even in the constellation Pisces, the archetype of Formalo inspires a future vision for an evolved human society with a major focus on social issues. Formalo rules the heel of the right foot. When I think of that, I think of Achilles' heel. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I use Gematria and Strong's Concordance, which are two biblical tools that you can align alphanumerically a word to a number. Formalo's number is 496, 690, and 115. 496 also aligns with the words soulmate, crescent moon, Eucharist, Mary Magdalena, pomegranate. And as I said, if you've watched my readings, you know that pomegranate message comes through all the time, which also aligns with 613. And the Emerald City. Now, the Emerald City in context is the Wizard of Oz. A spiritual journey that we are all on collectively. Inspires a future vision for an evolved human society. When I think of that, I think of a spiritually evolved human society. Now, in Strong's Concordance, which is basically when you take those numbers, 496, 690, and 115, and actually put them into an index which categorizes where that number falls within the chronological index of any verse that is used within the Old or New Testament. 496 is God has testified, or to oppose or resist. And 690 is lion. Now, the four horsemen in Revelation 6 actually bring about destruction and judgment. So for something to change, there has to be some sort of destruction. These stars align with John's testament or his vision in the book of Revelation, and they parallel with Ezekiel 1, 18, 10, and 12, full of eyes all around. Now, Formalot, as I said, is Gabriel. So the messenger, the watcher of the south, the mouth of the fish of the whale, the alpha star, the beginning, the alpha and the omega, the alpha star of the southern fish, mysticism, idealism, and prophecy. And again, if I go back to John's vision, that was the lion, the ox, the man, and the eagle. So these four stars. And as I said, the four horsemen, destruction and judgment, but it's the chaos that precedes transformation. So those were the initial messages that were coming through. And if you aren't aware, we are currently in 18 months of a focus of the North Node, which is our collective destiny. The North Node is in Pisces. Pisces is about spirituality. It is about going within. And if I think that Formalo is in the constellation of Pisces, and it is known as the lonely fish. It's a spiritual journey that you go on by yourself. If I look at the collective energy at the moment and that line, the chaos that precedes transformation, and I think of what is happening globally at the moment within the stock markets, just as an example. Because these readings are housed within a wheel, within a wheel, within a wheel. So you're a tiny wheel, but you're part of a bigger wheel, a local wheel, the local economy, what's going on in the local economy, what's going on in the economy of the country that you live in, what's going on with the economy globally. And obviously there's been some big changes that have happened, which have, for want of a better word, pulled the wheel off the chariot. Lots of people have lost lots of money. The chaos causing individuals to actually take a step back and go, okay, and I'm using the stock market as an example, but you can apply it to a scenario that is happening in your life at the moment. It's a crumbling. This is what's happening. It's a crumbling. And it's a crumbling of what you perceived was, I just heard a safe bet. What you perceived was a safe bet. Now, obviously, the stock market isn't a safe bet, but it can be financial. It can be religious. It can be within a workspace. It can be something that you deemed you had control over. And I was watching an interview yesterday with a gentleman, very, very wealthy gentleman in the States, who was so excited at the change in leadership because for him it meant that he was going to get better tax breaks and better opportunity and he was in the top sort of echelon of society, better tax breaks and better opportunity with a change in power. And so was all for the change in power, but was then crying poor because he'd lost $7 million in his portfolio in the share market because of the changes that have happened over the last couple of days. It's this thinking that something is going to be one way and then literally having the carpet pulled out from under your feet and then having to go into some sort of internal reflection because of it, a reassessment. And as human beings, we don't like change. So when change comes, or when somebody presents change to us, we go kicking and screaming. It would be like if you approach somebody who has drunk every day for their entire life, and then you said to them, you know what, I don't like drinking anymore. I don't like you drinking anymore, and I don't want to be around you. They will go kicking and screaming and blame you for a change that you know has to be made, but they don't want to do that internal reflection. And I don't know whether I said it. I was talking to my daughter this morning and I was talking about, we think about outer space as this huge, big expanse. Well, inner space, who we are within, is actually even bigger. The other theme that was coming through was Jonah and the whale. And if you haven't been here before, I've been getting, my guides give me biblical references. I am Catholic. I think to this point in my life, I was meant to get biblical references. It starts with my name and everything that is aligning at the moment within the context of what's happening globally, what's happening biblically, all aligns with all things happening in my world at the moment. This was the year that I was meant to open my channel. This was the year that I was meant to align with the messages that I've been receiving. This year I've been married. It's my 25th wedding anniversary. That's the number 7. These 7 numbers that are coming through thick and fast. Married 25 years. A 7. I was 25 years unmarried, 25 years married, because I turned 50 this year. A 7 and a 7. Currently I'm 49. 7 by 7 is 49. Today is April the 9th. In a couple of days' time, we have, in the Jewish calendar, we have Passover, which I think actually aligns with Palm Sunday in the Christian calendar. So the 12th, 13th is Passover. 50 days or 49 days from Passover is Pentecost, the Feast of Weeks, or Shavuot. But again, that 49 and the 50 reference. There's huge healing, huge cleansing, huge spiritual enlightenment, huge spiritual growth that will happen from now through until the first week in June, which is when Pentecost arrives. Now, Pentecost is when they speak in tongues, if you're looking at it from a Christian's perspective. If you're looking at it from the connection with Formalot, who aligns with Gabriel. Gabriel is a messenger. Pentecost is where a message of renewal, a message of hope is taken out by the 12 apostles. There's a message coming through, and you may be not wanting to receive it. I was getting Jonah and the whale. God had a message for Jonah. He wanted him to go to Nineveh, which is a city. Wanted him to go to Nineveh and tell the people that they were, now Jonah was a prophet, tell them that their ways were wicked and they needed to repent. This is not a religious reading. I'm purely just using religious text to relay a message that's coming through to me. So if you are of no religious denomination, that's okay. These are just stories. God sent Jonah. He didn't want to deliver the message, so he disobeyed God and he got on a boat. And when the boat got out to sea, the sea started to, the chaos before the destruction. The sea started to rise, and he knew that it was happening because of him, because he chose to ignore something that he was being told to do or told to listen to. And so he jumped off the boat and ended up in the belly of a whale for 3 days. I get that, 3 days of darkness. Ended up in the belly of a whale for 3 days. Outer space, inner space, internal reflection. What messages are you receiving? Formalo in the sky by himself. Nobody around. What messages are you receiving? Archangel Gabriel. Who is the messenger? What messages are you receiving that you are ignoring? Or what messages are you receiving that you are taking on board? If I think about the story of Passover, Moses was giving a message to the Pharaoh that already had all of these plagues. Pharaoh wasn't listening. And so God said to him, go and tell all of the people to slaughter a lamb, cook it, and with the blood of it, put it over your doors. That's where the term Passover comes. And so they did that a couple of days earlier. Put the blood over the doors, and then literally something came through and took the lives of every son. Took Pharaoh's son, but they listened and they did what they were told. And that was ultimately the thing that set them free. Now, when Jonah came back from being in the belly of the whale, he told the story to the people of Nineveh that recognized the significance of it, and they repented. There's a connection here between the previous big solar eclipses that have gone across America. From memory, I'm pretty sure it was April 8th last year. The big solar eclipse that went across America. Now, it went across seven cities called Nineveh in America. And it marked a big sideways olive across the whole of America. Between that eclipse, I think one in 2021 and one in 2017, there was 3 of them in total where they literally went right across the states. And between the 3 of them, they marked the olive, can you hear that crying dog? They marked the olive and the tav, which is the cross, the beginning and the end. Formalot is the alpha star. This is the beginning of a message with these ties to the themes around Jonah and the whale. Getting a message but not receiving it, or pushing back. Now, last night I got a message on my most recent reading, and I've sat as to how I was going to respond to it, and I'm not responding to it. I'm responding to it within this reading because it is actually part of the message that I was meant to get. I was meant to get that message, and it was somebody, and feel free to go and have a look. It was somebody who didn't like a message that I was giving, pushing back on a message that I was giving. And for that individual, I wish you all the best on your spiritual journey. I wish you healing. I wish nothing but good for anybody. But I would also thank that person because it is an indication of societal energy. And I don't know how that individual ended up watching the reading, whether it popped up. But your guides guide you to things that you're meant to hear. And some of it is things that you don't like. But it is that outer space, inner space. It's that internal reflection. What am I being told that I need to reflect on? Now, if you can hear that dog crying, my dog is actually sat beside me. He's quite distressed actually about the dog next door crying. But he's sitting there quietly beside me. This energy is very balanced actually, because he will only come and sit beside me in a reading when The energy is balanced. But I want to give you a bit more in depth about Jonah and the whale. Now, Jonah and the Whale, these were the two cards that actually came out when I did the pre-shuffle. Jonah and the Whale actually aligns with that card, which is the Eight of Swords. It's Jupiter in Gemini. Gemini is about the mind. Gemini is communication in two minds, two different perspectives, or getting some sort of enlightenment, but not wanting to hear it, being so wrapped up in what you thought was going on that you don't want to hear the truth. The businessman being so wrapped up in what he wanted to hear about what he thought was good for him in terms of the tax breaks with a change in power, a change in government, that he had his eyes closed to something that was actually much worse. It's a collective awakening. And as I said, we have the North Node in Pisces. It's a collective spiritual awakening. We are all being put in the belly of the whale. Jupiter in Gemini is a current placement in the sky. Jupiter has been in Gemini since June last year, since June 2024, and will be there until the 5th or 6th of June 2025, and then it changes to Cancer, which is Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is expansion, an expanded mind, moving forward. Now, a balanced Emperor drives the Chariot. This is a Chariot card, which is the number 7. A balanced Emperor drives the Chariot. An Emperor energy can be out of balance, right? It's choosing to leave a nasty comment. But a balanced Emperor drives the Chariot. Whatever hole you are in at the moment, you've been put there because there's something that you're meant to see. A balanced Emperor is a combination of action, because the Emperor is Aries energy. It's action, it's forward movement. But a balanced Emperor is forward movement combined with wisdom. Now, I could have been out of balance yesterday and written a comment back on that post, but I chose to go within, and my response, through pulling in the energy in and around that comment, I believe is a sign of a balance between wisdom and action. And as I said, I thank that person, even though the comment wasn't particularly nice. I thank that person for writing that, because it allowed me an opportunity to go within. So let's look at Jonah. The meanings of the Eight of Swords in context of Jonah is entrapment, feeling caught in an undesirable situation, often due to avoidance or denial. Self-imposed restrictions. Have you done it to yourself? Limiting your beliefs through negativity or fear. Victim mentality. Perceiving yourself. Are you stuck at the belly of the whale, in the belly of the whale, because you don't believe you have power in a situation? And understanding that the key to releasing yourself from the belly of the whale is in liberating or changing your mindset. God commands Jonah to go to Nineveh and preach against its wickedness. Jonah, however, flees in the opposite direction, boarding a ship. A great storm endangers the ship, and Jonah, realizing he is the cause of the storm, asks to be thrown overboard, leading him to be swallowed by a great fish. Inside the fish for 3 days and nights, Jonah prays to God. Repenting for his disobedience, God commands the fish to spit Jonah onto dry land, giving him a second chance to fulfill his mission. This experience transforms Jonah, teaching him about obedience, repentance, and God's mercy. This is about introspection. It really, really is about introspection. And it's beautiful that I got that Fomolo message coming through. The North Node is in Pisces. This star is known as the loneliest star because it's not surrounded by any. It's something that you have to do on your own in order to free yourself. And it aligns too. And I would say to you, and if you haven't been here before, as I said, there are so many things in my life that are completely out of my control that align with these messages, especially this year. Because as I said, this 7 by 7 is 49. I'm 49 now. I turned 50. Of all days, on October 7 is my birthday. And if you go back to biblical texts, you can do this 49 between Passover, between Easter and Pentecost. And I just had to check. I did get it right. The Feast of Weeks, or Shavuot. Apologies if my pronunciation is incorrect. But there's a literal reference in the Bible between 49 and 50. Within these 2 moments in time. Within the calendar year of the biblical feasts. These messages that I'm getting through align with the themes around Jacob's trouble, Jacob and the stairway to heaven, those 4 royal stars of Persia, the gateway to heaven. Even if you look, now I know that it obviously looks like a symbol, but it is also this symbol for these royal stars of Persia. Formula, the south. Gabriel, Scorpio and Taurus, Uriel, Raphael, Michael. Taurus and Scorpio are the gateways between God and man. That specific symbol, which was hijacked by the German army, one of the signs for it, one of the arms, symbolizes the gateway to heaven. Actually, the song that was coming through on repeat yesterday in my random shuffle was Stairway to Heaven. It's your connection with Source. It's your connection with the divine. But it comes through internal introspection. And that's what actually releases you. Releases you from an old mindset of what you thought you knew. And it doesn't mean that you were wrong. In some cases, it's because you've been fed something, sold a dream. But in order to release yourself, you have to go into the belly of the whale. And when I pull through that theme of the stairway to heaven, at 77, Jacob had a dream. He had wrestled with God for 77 years. And he had a dream at Bethel, and he dreamt about these angels going up and down in this stairway to heaven. Now that Jacob reference comes through for me because 7 years later, he then went on to marry Rachel. Now, my maiden name was Rachel Jacob. Nothing I can control about that. But all of these messages coming through in the last 12 months to me, in and around all of these themes that I'm picking up on that align with this 7 and 7 and 7, these bigger wheels within wheels within wheels within wheels. And it's only now in my 49th year, which is 7 by 7. And as I said, I was married at 25. I spent my first 25 years, a 2 and a 5 is 7. I spent my first 25 years as Rachel Jacob, and then my second 25 years as my married name. Messages that are coming through, and messages about huge, huge changes that are happening collectively. My son's vehicle on a government-issued number plate, again, something we can't control, literally talks about, and I'm not going to give you his number plate, but it aligns with Ezekiel and the wicked. And so I say to you, if you are coming to my readings and you are watching things, and I know as I sat in the silence and thought about the messages that I'm putting out and the context of what I'm putting out, knowing fully that there will be many people that don't agree. I just have to give the messages that I am being given because I'm meant to give them. Because I was meant to have a name that aligns with these messages, because the timeline of my life aligns with current things that are happening in the Bible, because I was meant to go a little deeper and look a little deeper. I was meant to go into the belly of the whale and go, I get it. And if my reading pops up on your feed and you watch it and it's triggering, or you don't like something that I say, then I would say to you, why did your guides, why did your angels guide you to that reading? Why did they put it in front of you? And I would say that with any reading. What message lies within something for you that's triggered you or made you angry? And ask yourself why. Is it a repeating message that you don't want to hear? Are you indoctrinated into a belief system? Which is what happens to everybody. And what I have actually come to realize, as I have done further study into multiple faiths over the past couple of years, there is an alignment with what's happening in the Middle East at the moment, with the Jewish faith, and that was another song that I got, the Promised Land, the Hollies, the Promised Land, the Chosen People, the Promised Land, and Saturn, a link between Judaism and Saturn. Now, Saturn is our karmic teacher, and when somebody says, we are the chosen people, or they are the chosen people, it doesn't automatically mean that just because you're chosen for something that you are deserving of it. It goes back to that firstborn son. Just because you're born first doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else. But this Saturn reference, what's coming through quite clear to me is that the chosen people for me is about being chosen to be an example. And that is good and bad. Meaning that if you do good, that will be an example. But if you do the wrong thing, that will also be made an example. So I'm going to get some cards now that I have 32, Vasaria, Harmony and Mercy. I think it is the Star. That aligns with the Star card. Whatever's playing at the moment is destined to happen in this particular moment in time. Destined for somebody to go into the belly of the whale. Destined to have a spiritual awakening. Destined to push back on an awakening that is trying to be shown to you. Truths that are trying to be shown to you. And you're meant to push back on it until the point where you can't close your eyes anymore to what's actually going on. And that is what frees you. Number 18, help with legal issues. Wow, okay. That's the Justice card. It's a balance. Now, the Star card in yesterday's reading, which is where that comment was, the Star card came out 3 times in 3 different decks. Whatever's happening is destined. Like that comment was destined to be put there because it then in turn aligns with the reading that I'm meant to do today. Go back and have a look at that reading from yesterday. There might be messages in that if it is resonating with you. Love is the greatest healer. We need to stop attacking each other. Lighthouse. People that provide information to you. If you think about Jonah in the belly of the whale, right? It was dark. Illumination, a lighthouse. Somebody giving you a piece of information that may give you, listening to your higher self, that may give you a different perspective, and it may not be something that you want to hear. But if you think about a lighthouse, if you've got a ship's captain who's like, you know what, I don't need the lighthouse. I'm fine. I can just make my way along the coastline. They're going to end up on the rocks. I would say to you that the divine is aligning you with pieces of information to help you get unstuck. We are in the Pluto and Aquarius transit. It's a 250-year transit, and Pluto and Aquarius is revolutionary change. It's about removing yourself from, I just heard doctrines, the doctrines of what you live in. And as I said to you, I was raised Catholic. If you had have asked me 21 years ago, would you be reading tarot? Absolutely not. But it's the way that I connect with the divine. I am so much more connected in terms of prayer and meditation and listening to my higher self and getting illumination now than I ever was when I went to church every Sunday, or when I went to church, every second day, all through high school, or when I took myself to the youth group church on a Wednesday morning, all through my teenage years, and listened to somebody else talk. And again, if you're not religious, it's okay. But it's finding a way to connect to your higher self, being your own lighthouse. Because until you disengage from the hive mentality of the masses, just because you're Christian, or just because you're Catholic, or just because you have to support a specific religion, it's actually, in the end, will be your undoing, and you'll end up in the belly of the whale longer. Okay, let's get some cards. Excuse my belly. I'm fasting. Let's find out what's happening in the energy around us. The Emperor. I'm going to say you're either in unbalanced Emperor energy or you are in balanced Emperor energy. And if you are in balanced Emperor energy, you are getting pushback from people who are in unbalanced Emperor energy and haven't balanced out wisdom and action. What's happening in the 3D? Give you an example of this. It's come through in many readings. Moses was in balanced Emperor energy. He was listening to the divine messages that he was getting from Source. Use Aaron's rod, stamp it down, and the seas will part and your people will be able to go through. And that's what happened. Coming in behind him on the chariot was an unbalanced emperor in the Pharaoh who thought he knew better and charged his men and their chariots into that water after Moses, and the water came down. And they've actually found relics of bones and chariots at the bottom of that sea. Unbalanced Emperor energy. Too prideful and ego-driven to recognize that he'd already lost a son, that he was playing with a bigger power. And then on the flip side, when Moses took all those people out and he went up to the top of the mountain to carve out the 10 commandments, the laws, the spiritual laws, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, as prime examples of what's currently happening. And he came back down to find these people worshipping a golden cow. Thou shalt not worship false idols. That's that particular group of people being used, a chosen people being used as an example. And so they sat in the desert for 40 years. What's happening in the 3D? Strength. Number 8. That's Leo energy. The prideful lion, or somebody that uses their strength to go within and learn. Instead of being defensive. That wanted to come out, the Seven of Wands, and what's happening in the soul. The Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is the moon in Leo. What's happening in the soul currently is that people are making fast decisions based on their actions are, they've got a wobble. It's the moon. Leo, the moon in Leo. Almost cutting your nose off to spite your face. Not understanding the spiritual lesson in something. It is literally having a biblical event where seas are parted and the divine gets you through, and then turning around and worshipping a golden calf. The same with Pharaoh. All these plagues, losing his son, but turning around in his ego. And it's not seeing the forest for the trees. That's what it is. You're being shown the lighthouse and then wondering why you end up in the belly of the whale. Okay, and we've got the Ten of Swords on the bottom. This is the message from the man upstairs. Communication. The Eight of Wands is Mercury in Sagittarius. That card also aligns with the Stairway to Heaven. Take note of your dreams at the moment. What messages are you getting in your dreams? Write down your dreams. It might not make sense. As I said yesterday, I was getting multiple messages, and then it wasn't until this morning when I was sitting in prayer and meditation that I recognized that they all connected. All different little pieces of the puzzle that you're getting. Random videos that pop up in your feed, and if it pops up multiple times, there's a message in it for you. And sometimes it's not even the full message, like you don't necessarily have to watch the whole video. I've gotten messages just in the title of the video. Put your songs on random shuffle. Which songs are coming through over and over and over? I got Only Love Remains, David someone, Griffin House. And then another one this morning when I dropped my son at work at like 4 a.m. I was driving down the highway, not a soul in sight. And every second song that came on in my random shuffle was light, but it was where the light gets in. There's messages coming. Formalo aligns with Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel is a messenger. You are getting messages. But are you open to receive them? That's what I want to say. And specifically between now. Passover is the 12th, 13th. Again, I think it's Palm Sunday. Through for the 49 days, the 50 days that follow, which is the Feast of Weeks, which is Pentecost, which aligns with the 6th of the 8th, or the 8th of the 6th, which is June, which is when we get that change from Jupiter trapped in your mind, which is swords, and that is the card of Jonah and the whale. Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter is 777, again, that's 7 reference. And then Jupiter goes into Cancer on the 6th of June, the 5th of June actually, and we get that forward movement. The outcome. I just heard, should you wish to receive it. And it truly is, you know. How long do you want to be buried in the bloody belly of the whale? This is too many, but... oh, look at that. We've got the Page of Wands, that's the Explorer. We've got the Ace of Wands, that's Aaron's Rod, which is what I was talking about before. Are you going forward? We've got the Star card, which is up here. Again, 3 star cards in the previous reading. this is an extension of the previous reading. Destined for this to happen at the moment. Disappointment. Are you going to stay stuck in your old ways? The Seven of Pentacles, that's my Jacob and Rachel card. In this deck, that is my Jacob and Rachel card. Where are you planting your seeds? And is it conducive to your soul's growth? Because if you keep your seeds planted, because you've got literally your head buried in the sand and you're not willing to listen to the messages that the divine is telling you about a situation that you are in or a circumstance that you are viewing, then nothing's going to grow. Nothing's going to grow there. You're just going to end up in disappointment. Love is the greatest healer. And I'll give you an example of this, right? Up until a couple of years ago, I had never met a Muslim person in my life, ever. I didn't have any previous beliefs about Muslim people, anything like that. When my daughter, and I was 7 months pregnant, standing in front of the TV in Australia, watching those Twin Towers fall, listening to all of the information that the media was giving about what had happened, and it was dreadful. It was truly, truly dreadful. But that is when my first opinion was formed of that religion or people within that faith. My whole world changed. I was put in the belly of the whale when my daughter, who's 23 now, came to me at 18 and said that she was reverting to Islam or converting to, it's called reverting, converting to Islam, from Catholicism to Islam. I went into the belly of the whale. I did not want to hear it. I did not understand it. I was defensive to it. I thought I knew better, trying to convince her that it was the wrong decision, until I sat in prayer and I asked God, how can I support my child? Help me to understand this so that I can be a supportive parent even though I'm angry and I'm sad and I don't agree with what's going on. And that is when my connection with the divine started. My true connection with the lighthouse within, with my higher self. That is when I connected, looking for more information, looking for understanding. Because at the end of the day, love is the greatest healer. Whatever's happening here, and whether it be on a global scale, or whether it be on an individual scale, there's an opportunity for connecting with people without attacking them. But this is the potential outcome. It's an opportunity, a destined opportunity for connecting with people, for a new beginning, for exploring connections with people that you don't necessarily have the same beliefs as. But are you gonna, Seven of Pentacles, put your head in the sand and just attack? Because what that will do is end in disappointment. And you'll only alienate yourself, because as a collective, we're all moving towards, and I would even say this to you, here I am, married 25 years. Now, 25 years ago when I got married, my husband is born in a different country. I'm white as blue eyes. He's dark skin, dark hair. I got pushed back 25 years ago when I married somebody of a different culture. Now we have a multicultural, multilingual, multi-faith family, and it is beautiful. I am the happiest I have been in my life, because instead of putting the blocks up and saying, I don't want this, I actually just opened my arms up and said, you know what? Let's welcome it in and see what changes. See how we grow. See how we evolve spiritually. The Six of Cups. things from your past. It's a mindset from your past that's keeping you stuck in the belly of a whale. Okay, let's get some. Let's have a look at this Emperor energy. Page of Pentacles, things from your past. Page of Pentacles is the card of the student. It's Mercury in Virgo. Virgo is about the spiritual journey, going within. And Mercury is about listening to the communication that you are receiving from the man upstairs in order to go within, in order to get yourself out of the belly of the whale, in order to take yourself from unbalanced Emperor energy to balanced Emperor energy. There's something you're missing. This is why this reading has come out. The Four of Wands. That's Venus in Aries. And actually, that's a current placement at the moment. The Four of Wands. It's the structures that you're tied to. And if we look at the, as I was saying before about Saturn, Saturn is your karmic teacher. You go through your Saturn return at 28. You go through another one around 55, 56, and another one at 80. Your first Saturn return is about living a life that is pre-planned for you, as in the religion that you grow into, you grow up into. So when your soul incarnates into this lifetime, the family that you incarnate into, the country that you incarnate into, the set of beliefs that you incarnate into in terms of cultural beliefs, religious beliefs within your family. And by 28, you've experienced all of those things, and then you are of the soul age, where your soul can then make a decision to make a change. Now, for example, as I said, 18, my daughter made the decision to change religions. Her soul had obviously got to that point, but the same applies then, you know, when you hit that 55, 56 year mark. I even think of, you know, my husband had a huge career change at 28. His soul had learned all the lessons that he needed to learn within the context and the parameters that he was living. And so this huge change was then made. And it can be a physical change. It can be an emotional change. It can be a spiritual change in terms of religion. It can be a change of, you can move countries. You could move religions. You could completely change, like he did. He went back to university and change careers. But it's a change, and it's a change through becoming a student again. What am I being told? And I think about, you know, I've been trying to learn different languages. Well, my 50-year-old brain isn't working the way it should have, because I'm stuck in my ways, and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't learn this language. It's too hard. But I still keep getting things in my feed about these languages that I know that I should be learning. It's this pushback. What's happening in the 3D? There we go. We've got the Knight of Pentacles now. Saturn in Capricorn. Lesson after lesson after lesson. The Eight of Cups. Walking away from the past. That's Saturn in Pisces. It's walking away from the old beliefs, the old ideals. Because if you stay there, you stay stuck and stagnant. And and the Two of Wands, and there's a message in that card. The Two of Wands is about new plans, new directions. Where are you headed? Where are you headed with illumination and with love? And there is a Queen of Wands. There we go. This is the Queen of Wands in the soul here, when you're not actually doing things that's the Moon in Leo. You're making decisions based on pride and what you think you know. And this, now that you're making decisions based on connection and wanting to heal and wanting to grow and wanting to learn and wanting to understand. Like I said to you, I was driving in my car and I'm like, I don't understand this. Please show me how I can support my child when I don't understand. And now I'm completely the opposite. I'm like, yeah, have you seen this hijab online? Let's get this one. Let's, leading with love. The Queen of Wands. There's something I heard a couple of years ago, and it was about when to speak and not to speak. And I grew up in the era of, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But what I heard was, when you're about to say something, you need to ask yourself 3 things. Is it true? Is it helpful? And is it kind? And not just think about something from your perspective. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? And if you can write a response based on those guidelines, then knock yourself out. Queen of Wands. And I understand the different cultures. The King of Swords. Yeah. That's Uranus in Libra. Uranus is the planet of earthquakes. And Libra is about balance. But the King of Swords speaks a truth. Doesn't necessarily care about whether it's true, helpful, or kind. 6 of Cups. What I was saying before is, if you have grown up in a country where and there's 2 sides of it, right? Because if you think of a country like, for example, Japan, where they don't say anything, or you go to, for example, the States, where people are encouraged to speak their mind. Now, Australia is a little different. People do speak their mind, but not in a public setting. But I can understand that when you live an existence where that's all you know, you wouldn't necessarily understand that there is a different way of doing things. On the flip side, when you've had your voice suppressed for a long time, it's difficult then to speak out. But then this is about that going into the belly of the whale. And whose voice are you speaking? The 8 of Wands, a message from the man upstairs. The Hangman. Hangman is Neptune. It's an epiphany. That's the bottom of the ocean. That's the belly of the whale. Taking a step back in the quiet and having a conversation with the divine. I just heard Chinese whispers. The 9 of Wands. That's the wounded healer. It's like attack mode. So long on the defense that you're in attack mode. We've got a lot here. I'm just going to get one. Temperance. It's divine balance. That's also the card of divine timing. And the 6 of Pentacles. It needs balance. Balance, balance, balance. Recognizing that the key to liberation is changing one's mindset or approach. And I can give you a perfect example. Somebody who likes to have a drink and probably knows that they drink too much, but gets defensive when they're told. But the reality is that if they actually pulled back and stopped, a whole heap of things in their life would change. It's this balance. It's about letting the light in. Yeah, so interesting, right? Okay, let's get a moon. I don't want to spend too long on the bull-headed. New mood vibes in Taurus. Time to turn those dreams into an epic blueprint. Taurus is next month. Taurus is May. Taurus is May, June. Taurus is within that 49 days. But Taurus is the bull-headed. Are you going back to worship the previous? Are you going back to worship the previous god? Or are you moving ahead? Because they were stuck in the wilderness for 40 years. Something new is being offered to you. It's been given to you on a divine platter. Look, destined, Temperance. It's being given, new seeds are being given to you on a divine platter. But are you so stuck in the mindset of the past that you can't see the information, the illumination, Archangel Gabriel, this formula sign, that you can't see what's being gifted to you, the information that's being gifted to you, the spiritual enlightenment that's being gifted to you? Because if you can't see it, you're going to get stuck in the belly of a whale, which is that fish. It literally is in the mouth of Pisces. Formalo, the belly of a whale. Divine guidance is what I heard. South Node in the 5th house. South Node cozying up in the 5th house. Your creative vibes are off the charts, but watch out for that sneaky desire to stand out too much. Your quest to break free from seeking approval and celebrate the quirks in everyone. This is where our soul feels snug. Okay, so what that is about is your spiritual enlightenment is not going to come in the same way, the same form as somebody else. It's talking about creativity here. It's about getting creative with the messages that are coming through to you. And not being about thinking that you've got it right because it's coming through the same way as other people. It is, as I said to you, you know, I didn't start this getting biblical messages. They've just come in thick and fast in the last 12 months. But I started by putting my songs on random shuffle. It's like little bit. And then all of a sudden, you're out of the well. But it's about not thinking that there's a tried and tested way, that something has to come to you. You don't have to sit in church and listen to the preacher or listen to the priest. And if that's something that you're called to do, then by all means do that. Please excuse, it's school holidays here. The kids next door are playing in the backyard. The kid was calling to the mum. There's a message in that. How are you being called to hear these messages? Okay, I'm going to get you some Scrabble tiles. In here, Scrabble tiles, letters and numbers. I'll call them out. It could be your first, middle, last initial, or something else that pertains to something that you're picking up on within this reading. Could or could not resonate with you. Just take it as they come. I'm going to give it a shake. There is a little bit of noise with it. So if you've got hearing sensitivity, please just turn your volume down. I'm just going to shake it in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So we've got an E and a 1, a B, ebb and flow, a B and a 3, an S and a 1, a C and a 3, an L and a 1, a Z and a 10, an M and a 3, a D and a 2, a V and a 4, an X and an 8, an N and a 1, an F and a 4, a Y and a 4, a G and a 2, a J and an 8, a P and a 3, and an I. I was going to say in the belly of the fish. Actually, I do have fish. Oh no, I don't. I nearly had Pisces. Let's do it that way. The belly of the fish. Okay, let's get you 3 final cards. Jonah in the whale, Empress. Time to nurture. Nurture the messages that are coming through to you. This is an out of balance Emperor. Empress energy is wisdom. It's intuition. It's wisdom. And an out of balance Emperor is too heavy on the masculine and not enough on the feminine. Now, that's not gender specific. but it's about coming into alignment. And have a look, I've got a playlist, and it's The Rise of the Divine Feminine. Again, not gender specific, but it's about how to balance that masculine and feminine energy within the full new beginning. The Ace of Cups. In reverse though. Spiritual enlightenment. A new beginning. Yeah. Okay. A new beginning is being afforded to you. We've got the King of Pentacles here, which is earthbound energy. Strong, reliable, stable. Maybe somebody who's got... what have we got on the bottom? Nine of Cups, which is Jupiter in Pisces. It's expansion. I'm going to get one more. Strong, reliable, stable energy. But a little bit too heavy on the masculine because we've got the Ace of Cups here. Nine of Pentacles. Saturn, Capricorn. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm just going to get one more. These cards are super jumpy. Balance. Balance and truth. And the Queen of Swords, which is Uranus and Aquarius. That's Archangel Michael. Balancing of this and this. Balance. Wisdom and truth is what gets you out of the belly of the whale. That's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this reading gave you some food for thought. All the best on your spiritual journey. If the reading resonated with you, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks again, and I'll see you in another reading.